I never lose, either I win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever it may concern. About to be a hot topic, play with fire, you get burned. Ain't nobody give me nothing, whatever I got, better I earn. I never lose, but I learn. I either win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever.
I just wrote a book with my 5-year-old son. We wrote about the healthy T-Rex and how, kind of giving it to in a way that kids can,
Wow.
T-Rex, the healthy dino. So we actually wrote it in a way, to help kids understand a healthy lifestyle, but in a fun way, where it's, again, not preachy. But the funny thing is, I woke up in the middle of the night and wrote the entire thing on my phone before I went and printed it out. Like, that's how, it was just like all in my head. But the times that it comes to you is when you just don't even think about it.
He was telling me the following morning, it's like, what do you feel about me writing a book, a children's book, about sort of where it's not like just pushing veganism, but where there's maybe like a small bit about it, where it's overall wellness and stuff like meditation and eating better and eating fruits and veggies. And what better way to reach people than reach the kids, the youth? Because us adults, we're hard-headed. We gotta learn the hard way right before it's too late, right after we have a heart attack and we got diabetes or we get our foot cut off and then we wanna maybe this.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Strong AF podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Yuri.
And today we have on a wonderful guest, Jaeden, who is a marketer, educator, entrepreneur, and the #1 positive affirmation artist on Spotify and Apple Music with over 20 million streams. He co-founded Selfpause in 2019 with the mission of unlocking the world's mindset through affirmation. And after years of ground-up research and development, Selfpause has grown into a community of thousands of positive achievers that works with some of the sharpest minds in psychology. So welcome, Jaeden. So great to have you on.
So great to be here. Thank you.
So tell us more just about you. Where do you come from? Who is Jaeden?
Yeah, so originally I am from Canada. That's actually where I'm at right now. My wife and I, we live with our 2 kids in Arizona. But it's about 40 degrees every day over there right now. So we've escaped the heat for a couple months. We're coming back visiting family on the West Coast in Canada. I grew up in Victoria. So yeah, super happy to be here with you guys. I grew up in Canada. I went to school in Hawaii where I met my wife, and then we now live in Arizona near where her family's at.
Very cool. I love it. So tell us more about how you really got into self-affirmations and where those positive affirmations, played a role in your life.
Yeah, so I've always been a really big advocate of positive thinking and affirmations and stuff. My parents growing up were really awesome examples for me. My dad was a really big proponent of like setting goals. He was always an entrepreneur and always talked about like the importance of that. And my mom growing up was really big into kind of like more of like the spiritual aspect and like positive thinking and actual affirmations. So growing up, I remember even when I was a kid, I had these affirmations I would say to myself whenever I felt like, whenever I had a hard time or something. I'd always say, I'm happy, I'm healthy, and I feel good. It honestly really helped me, I think, whenever I would have some sort of obstacle or difficulty growing up, it would kind of help me to shift my mindset so I wouldn't go into like a negative thinking spiral. I'd be able to stay positive, look at the positive side of it. And I really think it helped me a lot with what I've been able to do and achieve and work on, just being able to stay positive.
Definitely. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome when you think of at such an early age, you had these great role models and examples to just sort of set you on this positive journey. That's kind of unheard of for the average person where they have these role models, parents guiding them, whether it's from the spiritual aspect or affirmations, positivity, and the whole mindset. I think a bunch of our listeners and viewers could really have related to that if they were younger and stuff like that. because you have some people, they're so negative, so down upon themselves, where you didn't really, you were pretty much, how would I say it? You were sort of skilled, or it was groomed upon you this way to, if you're feeling down, you know what to do, you know what to say to yourself to raise your spirits and things like that. So that's just amazing.
Yeah, so I was super grateful. And I think it's an awesome thing to, whether, you have kids or just your friends around you, to be that positive influence, and kind of help people to focus on the positive, because that's where we're going to be the most productive, the most creative, and make the most out of our life.
No, I absolutely love that. And it can be so easy to be negative when you're going through a hard time. That's our initial response, right? Is just,
Totally.
oh, this is going wrong, and this is going wrong, and this is going wrong. But to sit there and be in the midst of something frustrating or depressing, or whatever you're going through, and to actually sit there and think about the good things that are going on, that can be so difficult, but also very rewarding, because just talking about those good things really changes your mindset overall.
Totally. And yeah, and like you said, like, it is difficult. One thing I've found that's always been really helpful for me is to focus on things that you're grateful for when something's going wrong. It's like kind of not intuitive. It's the last thing you really want to think of. But I find, for me, really thinking of things I'm grateful for, the people around me, my support, my family, whatever it is, right? You can always find things to be grateful for, whether that's just the weather or having a house, like anything, right?
Yeah.
And I think that really can help change your mindset as well.
No, I totally agree. And I love too that you said that you worked with psychologists in the field to be able to also pull this together. And it reminds me of several years ago, Yuri and I went to marriage counseling for communication issues, trying to work through that, right? And one of the biggest things that we took away from that, or at least I took away from that, is when we're mad at each other, instead of like thinking about what we're mad at the other person for, we have to say 3 positive things to the other person. And that was a game changer for us.
It's not even that, it's just the initial contact where you have to hold hands or touch, and that's the last thing you want to do if you're you and your spouse are arguing or something like this. Like, I don't really want to hold your hand. But okay, that initial touch and the eye contact, and then the positive words and things like that, that sort of just calms everything down. It just, because you know how things can go with you say something hurtful or something like that, you can't take those words back. But
right.
Yeah, that's one thing. Is being a guy, you don't want to say something something crazy, because you'll never it'll never get let down. You'll hear about it 6 months from now.
But yeah, I think it's really cool how like things like that being introduced into relationships, and then also personal self-help, is really incredible. So how did that work go with the psychologist in creating these affirmations and this platform?
Yeah, so I guess I can say a little bit about how we got started with Self-Pause, and then kind of how we
that'd be great
to develop it. We got started when we were pregnant with our first son, my wife and I, and she had just a lot of stress and anxiety around being a new mom and pregnancy, and like the whole thing. And she was talking to one of her friends, I guess, who had recommended she listen to these like affirmation meditations for pregnant moms. And we were in college at the time, super poor, and for some reason they were like really expensive. They're just these MP3 files online you just download onto your phone, so it wasn't like anything fancy, but they're super expensive. And she's like, hey, like, can I buy these? And I'm like, if your pregnant wife asks you for something, you don't say no. So I was like, of course. So she would listen to them every morning when we're waking up, and every night as we're going to bed. So we're like going to bed, and I'm listening to these like, I am a strong, powerful woman, right? Like I got like all these like birthing affirmations going on. But I was absolutely blown away by how much of a mindset shift she made, because she went from being like fearful, scared, anxious, stressed, to all of a sudden she was like excited and like confident. She was like, I can do this. Like it was like so amazing for me to see that total 180 of a mindset shift. And so after seeing that, I was like, well, I can't personally relate a ton to the, birthing affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a ton of other areas that I would love to do this in, right? Because when I was a kid, I had those affirmations, but I never kind of paired that with meditation and visualization. And so I started just recording my own voice. I put it on Spotify, saying affirmations, putting meditation music in the background. And mostly I just did it for fun. I was like, like I'll put it out there. I could listen to it if I want, maybe friends or something like that. Um, but we were super blown away because in the first, I think like 3 months, we are getting like 50,000 streams a month on these
Wow.
affirmations I put out there. And I was like, holy smokes, like this really resonates with people. They're really looking for it, and this can be something that will help a lot of people. So my wife, who had studied computer science in college, she made like little apps for some classes and stuff. It was her idea. She was like, we need to turn this into an app so that, you can customize the voice and the background and record your own voice and do all these different things. So that was when we kind of got started on the whole journey. And it's been a long journey. That was 3 or 3.5 years ago now, I think. So it's been evolving, and the version of the app we have now, we launched about a year ago. So there was a couple years in there where we were learning how to build apps, and we had a whole version of the app developed that never ended up working, and we had to rebuild it and stuff. So it was a long journey. There was a lot of learning involved, developing the content, getting people to record affirmations, writing them. But it's been super fun, super fulfilling, and yeah, that's kind of how we got started with the whole thing.
Oh, that is so awesome. I love that story. And I'm glad to know, I feel like when products are created from your own personal experience and something that helped you overcome a tough situation, like those are the best things, right? Because you really felt that, and you really know what it helps to take, what it takes to help other people to get the same out of that.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's something that was near and dear to our hearts and our life and our story. So it's really exciting for us, honestly, and very fulfilling to be able to create something that, like, we saw it help us so much. So we're just creating it out there for other people to benefit and to, have that as well.
Absolutely. I love it. Whenever I think it's been probably about a year now, you had reached out to us and told us about your app, and we logged in, started using that, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. Yuri recorded a lot of his own personal affirmations on there as
Nice.
well. And then we started using it for our kids too. So our middle son, he is definitely the middle child syndrome, right? And so like he gets all riled up and anxious and all over the place. And so when he's going through one of those moods, we sit him down and we start doing affirmations with him. And first off, I'll be like, I am kind. He goes, I'm kind. But the more we go through it, the like calmer he gets, and the more he starts actually believing what he's saying. And it's so cool just to see like that little shift in him. And he's only 5.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think affirmations are so powerful for kids. Like I said, growing up, having those affirmations, and so yeah, that's what we have. We created like a whole category on the app as well, of affirmations for kids. We even got one recorded in a kid's voice. But yeah, so powerful, and they're such an awesome tool.
I can remember, speaking for myself, maybe about 3 years ago, we really wrote down our affirmations and had it on the mirror in our bedroom or in our bathroom, and we had it on sticky notes. And each morning I'd wake up around 3 a.m. and get ready and go for a job. And I know some mornings that alarm clock would go off. And oh man, I'm not really feeling this or whatever. Then I go in there and look at that mirror and start reading them. It just changes everything. Your whole mind. It's just like something just clicks in your brain where it's like, okay, let's get it. And me being the person that I am, when I talk to myself to like get myself amped up, these words I have on there, it's a lot of profanity, but it's profanity that I know that's gonna get juices flowing. It's what I need. And I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. Let's go. I don't care if it's 30 degrees, 20 degrees out here. I'm gonna get this in. I gotta get this. So affirmations, if people are on the fence about it or anything in that nature, it works. It definitely does. 100%.
Yeah, totally. It's such a powerful way to change our mindset. And I think for me, something so powerful when I use affirmations is to pair them with like visualization, right? So if you have an affirmation of like, I will be financially successful or abundant, it's like visualize, what does that look like in reality to you? Like, what is your business, your job, your career, your path? What have you built that has that? And I think they've done a lot of science and research that's super interesting, but essentially what it shows is our minds can't tell the difference between what we visualize and what is reality. To our mind, it's all the same. And so we have a lot of the same effects mentally. And so that's why using affirmations and pairing them with visualization and really visualizing what you're achieving can help you to unlock your mindset and feel like completely empowered, which what happens is that as you change your mindset, right, to believe like, oh, I can achieve, like, let's go with the financial one, right, that we were talking about. Like, I can achieve financial success. All of a sudden, if you switch your mindset to like, maybe I'm poor and I can't do this, to all of a sudden, like, I'm empowered and I can achieve this, all of a sudden you start to change your behavior, because if you can do that, then what are the steps you need to take to achieve it? It's like, well, I got to go hustle and work on my job or work on my business or work on my thing, and so in whatever area, whether that's relationships, finance, stress, family, athletics, right? By changing your mindset first to truly believe using affirmations and visualization, all of a sudden you completely change your behavior. And then, yeah, you're bringing yourself towards doing that goal, or like Yuri said, being able to just like run through a brick wall,
Absolutely. I love that. We talk about mindset so much on this podcast because really, I think everything in life leans back to your mindset, whether that's nutrition, health, weight loss, it's finances, success in your career, whatever it is that you're looking for. It's all related to mindset first.
Totally.
Because if you don't have that right mindset, you're not going to achieve everything else you want. And with that, we've talked a lot about manifestation, affirmations, meditation, and all of these kind of individual components, but really, in my mind, they're not individual. They all work hand in hand together.
Totally. Yeah, I think they're all the same thing. Affirmations are just a powerful tool for switching your mindset and manifesting your reality or your desired outcome. And yeah, they work really well together.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing about manifestation and positive affirmations, a lot of people that I've talked to, they believe that this manifestation is just saying, okay, I'm going to have $1 million. And me saying I'm going to have $1 million means I'm going to get $1 million. But like, there's so much more that goes into that. And it is the constant mindset shift by, constantly telling yourself, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing, this is how I'm going to get there, while manifesting and imagining that, like you were talking about, actually visualizing it. But then when you do that, you don't just sit around and wait for it to happen, right? Because you're changing your mindset. So what happens is then you start putting the action in to actually achieve that. And that's what the affirmations and the manifestation and the meditation all really work hand in hand, is to change that mindset. So you put the actions behind it, and that's what helps you to achieve those goals that you're straining for.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about that, right? It's really switching your mindset so you change your behavior and your actions, and then your outcomes change.
Exactly. Yeah, it all follows right in line.
Because to me, it seems you have some people, I guess, looking on the outside on certain people, what they project, whether it be on social media or out in public. You see them where they may kind of heard of manifestation, but don't really know like the basis to it, the root work and things like that, where they say, okay, I'm gonna be rich, and they think that's the affirmation right there. It's just done. But with like the affirmations and you setting these things into the universe, you speaking about it, it's constantly on your mind where you visualizing everything. I know it's heard science to it. It's maybe 21 days of affirmations can change your DNA. It'll fix certain things, certain prerequisites where, with me being a black man, where maybe my history, certainly, I want to say it goes back like 14 generations of DNA can be passed on down to
Mm,
kids and everything like that. But we have the power with our mind, with these affirmations and things like that. 21 days of that, it can start to rewrite that DNA where you're
mhm.
changing the trajectory of your bloodline. That's just how powerful it is. And with the manifestation where you visualizing everything, you're speaking into the universe. And as long as you're speaking with power, you're not like begging and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Where it's just speaking with power, things like that, you're changing, speaking into the universe and gets the ball rolling. And next thing you know, you start manifesting all these dreams and things into reality, like you were saying. So it's very useful if it's used
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah, there's a lot of really interesting science and research. I think Dr. Joe Dispenza is kind of like one of the foremost people researching how it can affect your DNA and your genes, and how meditation and affirmation, as you use those, like paired with visualization,
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying, it can upregulate different traits in your genes and your DNA and stuff that can make you healthier. It can heal you. It can do a lot of really crazy things that's exclusively with your mind. And it's kind of interesting too because it makes a lot of sense. One really kind of with like visualization and how that can have a physical impact on your body. One interesting thing I was looking at recently is that for stroke patients, like people that have had a stroke, right? So oftentimes, parts of their face or their hands will be paralyzed. One common therapy for stroke patients is that they have them while they're like after they've had a stroke, they tell them to visualize and imagine moving the fingers on their hand that might be paralyzed. And as they visualize moving those fingers on their hand, their blood or their brain, right? Because our brain doesn't know the difference
Mhm.
between visualized and real. It sends blood to the parts of the brain that control our hand movements. And if you didn't
Wow.
visualize moving your hand during a stroke, what would happen, right? The blood gets starved off from parts of your brain. And so those parts of your brain actually kind of die off. But as they visualize being able to move their hand, the brain keeps sending blood to those parts of their brain. And through therapies and other things, in the future, they'll be able to restore movement to their arm again, but
Wow.
only if they visualize moving it first so that they can keep that part of their brain alive. So it's really crazy just how your brain and how visualization can have like
Mhm.
very physical impacts on your body. But yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff.
Wow. That is
That's
impressive.
amazing
I didn't know
information.
that. That's really cool. I love that. So tell me then, I'm very interested to know, what does your affirmation and meditation kind of routine look like?
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of personally using affirmations in the morning. I know like lots of people do them in the morning or at night or their lunch break, like different things. For me, I love using affirmations to kick my day off in the morning. And I think if I was to talk to anyone that was, trying to figure out what the best way to incorporate affirmations into their morning or their life or whatever is, I really liked the book Atomic Habits, which talked about how to create habits in your life. And something
Mhm.
that they mentioned in that book is a concept where it's really hard to create a new habit, but a powerful way to do it is to, if you want to create a new habit, pair it with a habit that you already have. So how that would look incorporating affirmations into your day would be, if every morning when you wake up, you make yourself a cup of coffee, or if every evening before you go to bed, you brush your teeth, pairing that habit. So like, let's say affirmations with something that you
Mhm.
already do, right? Every morning when you make your cup of coffee, you make it, sit down at the table, now recite your affirmations. Or every night before you go to bed, and you brush your teeth, right after you finish brushing your teeth and you put it down, say your affirmation. So pairing it with something you already have is a really powerful way to kind of incorporate that into your routine. So that's something I've tried to use. And yeah, I just love using affirmations in the morning. Really kicks my day off right, gets my mindset in the right place. I kind of go through different goals I personally have, things I personally want to accomplish, and it can help you kind of like refocus and recenter on like, okay, it's a new day. I have a new
Right.
opportunity. What am I going to do today? And then you kind of get started from there.
I love that. You did also talk about, the importance of visualization. So, at any point during your affirmations, or your routine, do you write any of this down? Does that help you?
Well, yeah, for me, as far as visualization goes, like, I mean, everyone's different and there's lots of different strategies. For me personally, I try to take times where I'll like sit there, usually with my wife, and we'll kind of like plan out like what's our goal and for this period of time, what's our dreams, what are we hoping to accomplish? And so we kind of create like an overarching like goals and direction for our life, our purpose that we're working on. And then when I create affirmations, I'll create them kind of around those goals. So things like, around our finances, my family, different things, affirmations in those regards. And then as far as visualization, when I say those affirmations or listen to those affirmations, I visualize, what they look like in reality. So what those goals and things we're trying to build and create and do, what those look like played out in reality, what our businesses will look like, what our family will look like. And so for me, that's kind of that aspect. A lot of people use journaling as a really powerful tool. I haven't done it a lot myself, but I know it is a pretty useful thing.
Okay.
That's powerful because we can relate to that. We usually have sort of like, we come up with collective goals for me and Ashley, whether it be family wise, business wise, and then our own personal ones. I guess you could sort of look at it as like rituals, things we do sort of that nature, where was it maybe every 3 to 6 months we come together and focus on what we want to do business wise, what we visualize and what goals we want to accomplish and things like that, and then speak it, cast it into the universe. And majority of the time it surprises us. We may have actually forgotten about it, and then something happens and be like, hold on, let me go back. Like, oh, this is what we wrote 6 months ago. This is what we wanted to do. And look at it. We thought it was gonna take a year. It only took 3 months and stuff like that. Where, like you said, with the gratification, I don't know. It's just as soon as my feet touch the ground in the morning, I'm sitting on the bed. I'm just always thankful, just for life itself. Just having more time able to spend with my wife, my family, and just the life that I have, and not down on myself like, oh, I should be much further, or I should have done this, or I didn't get to do what I wanted to do yesterday. Just being thankful of what we do have.
Totally. Yeah, completely. I think it's so powerful. We don't know how much time we have on this earth or the people around us have. And so I think really making the most of every moment, finding gratitude in every moment, and just being really present and living is just so important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with the visualization, sorry, I have to go back to this one more time just because there's so many people who do vision, like a vision board. This is not something that I've personally done just because I haven't found the time or the interest. It's not my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people do this and it seems to work very well for them. So what are your thoughts on vision boards? Is that something that you practice?
Yes. Okay, I'm glad you asked. And I am challenging you and inviting you to do a vision board. Like, okay, this is another thing my parents did since I was a kid. I was just like, okay, cool. We make vision boards every year. Every year we would make a vision board, a family one and a personal one. They would get us to put a big piece of cardstock. They have a giant stack of magazines. We'd go cut out photos. And my wife and I, like, since being married, have done this. I kid you not. We create a family vision board. We put it in a public space. Within a year or two, we look back and we have accomplished everything on that board. It is one of the most powerful ways to accomplish your goals. So one thing, I'm not joking. Yeah, I'm not kidding. I'm not joking around, not messing around with the vision boards. That's dead serious, because that's an image that you can see every single day of what you're visually trying to accomplish. You can sit there and visualize, that's powerful, but like you physically see it, that's your goal, go do it. Okay, so growing up, my family always had this goal. My mom, when she was a teenager, her dad was a lawyer, decided he just wanted to quit the busy life of being a lawyer, spend more time with his family. He's really successful, had his own practice, sold it. They bought a sailboat when my mom was 16, and they left Canada and they sailed through the South Pacific. They ended up in American Samoa. And so my mom did all of her high school there. They just stopped for hurricane season and decided to never leave. And so growing up, my mom went to school, met my dad, moved back to Canada. And, but growing up, I always heard these legendary epic tales of this amazing sailboat trip. And me and all my siblings were like, we want to do that someday. And so when I was a little bit older, we were making our family vision board, and me and my siblings were like, okay, we're putting a sailboat on this family vision board, and we're gonna do like the sailing trip, right? And my parents were like, okay, yeah, it'd be fun. They always said like, oh yeah, someday it'll be fun. But we're like, no, we're putting it on the vision board. We're gonna make it happen. And so it came to a point where I was about to have my birthday. I realized I'm off to college, and I'm gonna go just live my life and do my thing. And if we don't, it was like a year before that. I'm like, if we don't leave now, we're not going to be able to do this sailing trip, right? It was going to be this year-long thing. And so, I got the buy-in from my parents, and within 3 months, my family completely cleared our house out, rented it. My dad found a manager for his business. We bought a sailboat, moved to California onto the sailboat. It was kind of right when the housing market crashed. So boats were also selling really cheap. Everyone had offloaded them. So I found a really cheap sailboat. And we made the whole thing happen. And we always would reference like, it's on the vision board, we have to do it. And every time my parents were like, yeah, but like, how are we going to like afford it? Like, it's on the vision board, we find a way. My dad's like, how do I walk away from my business? It was after the recession, so his business was kind of crashing. And he's like, this is the worst time to leave. And we're like, it's on the vision board. We did that sailboat trip. We made that actually happen. And so I'm a huge believer in vision boards and in that being able to happen. And we did a whole year sailing around the South Pacific, just like we'd always dreamed about, but it never happened until we put it on the vision board and made it a reality.
Wow. Okay, you sold me. We have to do these now. That's for sure.
We've talked about it for like a decade. We've thought about doing it, and then it's like, no, we're not gonna do it. So yeah, we definitely gotta
get a poster board. I mean, nowadays, if you just have a printer, you can go find a bunch of images you like online and print them off, go Pinterest or wherever you get your inspiration. But yeah, and make your kids make vision boards too. It was so awesome growing up. I'm pretty sure I went into my parents' like the crawl space of their house, their old storage, and found some like vision boards from when I was a kid. And it was like, I put a guitar on there and I learned how to play the guitar. Like I put books on there. I learned to read those books. I put a place in the world I wanted to travel to and I went there. Super cool.
That's awesome. Plus, I just really want to see what they put on their vision board because I'd be very interested to know.
I don't know. When you start thinking about it, our 10-year-old, his vision board, Lord knows what he's going to put on there. And then our 5-year-old, I know there's going to be like dinosaurs. And he'll probably want JoJo Siwa on there because he's in love with JoJo Siwa. So there's no telling what we're going to find on.
That's funny.
So let us go back to your app for a little bit. So you have created this incredible app full of affirmations, and they're all categorized too. So if you're looking for something and let's say you're an athlete and you're going up for you're trying out for the team and you're just not feeling so confident, like these are great affirmations for you to listen to, getting prepared, training, all of that stuff. You have education, you have finance, you have all different categories of positive affirmations on your app. So tell us more about, really how that has helped your users and in their life personally.
Yeah. So like you said, we have a lot of different categories, and something that was really interesting and exciting for us is as we were kind of looking at like what types of affirmations should we put on this app, right? My wife had pregnancy ones. I really like business and entrepreneurship. And even, when I was going to school, reading books like Think and Grow Rich, which talk a lot about affirmations and meditation and visualizing and stuff. We're like, what other areas can we do? And so we did a lot of research on, for us, a lot of it was just kind of like research driven, like what kind of scientific studies had been done around different areas and how they help people. And so we kind of created affirmations around that. But yeah, I've been absolutely amazed by, for example, like athletic affirmations are really popular with high performing athletes. Olympians love positive affirmations. I think just in the last Olympics, there was I can't remember what her name was, but I think she did the shock put and she won gold. And she said, they're like, what's your secret? Right. And, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that, obviously, years of training, but she's like, right before I threw that, I had 3 affirmations I said, like, I deserve to win. I've trained for this, I can't remember what it was. And yeah, but they really, really help shift your mindset and help you perform at a higher level in a lot of different areas. Sales is a really big one. Yeah, education. And so, yeah, for us, we've created these affirmations. It's been really cool to hear feedback and stories from people, saying how they've used affirmations or how they like it or how they prepare for their tests by listening to affirmations. A lot of people tell us they like to listen to them before bed. They put them on loop and listen to their affirmations. But yeah, it's a really powerful thing, and it can affect so many different areas of our life. That affirmations are one of my favorite kind of tools for working on different areas, because they're just like so all encompassing, and it's like your mindset is the most powerful thing, kind of the most powerful asset you have. Like, you change your mindset to believe you can do anything, and you really can. It's not always easy, but like, if you persist, changing your mindset will be your biggest asset.
Absolutely.
That's like one of the least important things people think about. They think about certain aspects of their life they want to change. They want to work out. They want to get fit. They want to look better or something like that. But they don't really think about like their brain, their mental, and things like that. Changing that, because I always tell people, they're like, "What's your secret into achieving all this or something like that?" I'm like, I just believe. I just believe in myself and what I'm doing.
Totally.
I just sort of have, I don't know. Lately, I've been listening to this podcast. I want to say just maybe last week, and it was talking about like Egypt and Kemet going over there, and you seeing all these big statues and stuff like that, huge statues of themselves and stuff, and you're looking at it and you're thinking like, man, they must have had a real big ego. And I started thinking, I was like, well, maybe they teach us to be humble and stuff like that. Like, well, what if it's the opposite of that? What if we're not supposed to be too humble, but we're supposed to have like a bigger ego or something, like not just like, or I'm better than everybody or something like that, but where you just believe in yourself out of everything. You're never down on yourself. You're always high. You're always rooting for yourself. So I've just had that in the back of my mind the past week or so, where I'm starting to have a tad bit bigger ego, things of that nature, where it's changing my mental aspect, the way I approach things and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, because like, I think as humans, we tend to just think we can accomplish so much more than we think we can. And that's why it's really powerful when you surround yourself with positive people that believe in you more than you believe in yourself, spouses and friends and whatever. But it's such an important thing, because as we really kind of elevate our mindset and our belief about ourselves, like you're saying, right? We can do anything, we can accomplish anything.
One of my biggest pet peeves is the word luck. Because I feel like when someone like, I wish I was lucky, or you're so lucky because you got that job, or you're so lucky because you have this house, or you did this, or you were able to do that, whatever it is, because that turns your hard work, whether it's you saying I'm just lucky, or someone else saying that you're lucky, turns what that hard work and that belief in yourself into, well, it wasn't really me, it just kind of happened.
Right.
And that really, even that word can take something really good and change it from a positive to a negative.
Totally. Yeah, it's like it was random happenstance that you probably didn't deserve anyways.
Right.
Yeah, lucky is a funny one, because it's like you create your own, so I've listened to a podcast called just random thought on luck, but it's called How I Built This, and it's about people that have built really big companies, and they talk about their whole story, kind of thing. And at the end, he always asks the same question to everyone, and he says, based off of your experiences, everything you've done and accomplished, how much of that do you think was due to hard work, and how much of that was due to luck? And a lot of these people, I think they do have a certain level of self reflection, so they're not all just like, oh, like it's just pure hard work, I'm amazing, because as they tell their story, they're like, and this crazy thing happened. But what I've really come to think of is the fact that luck, or like, let's just call it opportunities, they come to people that have put in the work to put themselves in a situation to take advantage of those opportunities.
Right.
So it's like, oh, you're so lucky that opportunity came. It's like, listen, 1,000 opportunities will come to 1,000 people every single day,
Yes.
but not everybody is set up to be able to take advantage of every opportunity. Not everyone has put in the work on themselves and in their mindset and in their situation to be able to say, look at this amazing opportunity. I'm prepared for it. I'm ready for it. I've
Yeah.
worked hard. Now let's, take it and move forward. So
Yes, definitely. I think
yeah.
about that as not luck, but a mixture of risk and reward and willingness to, or adaptability and change, right?
Yeah.
Because things happen all the time. Like we always have these things that just come up and you're like, oh, that was weird. This recruiter reached out to me and I wasn't even looking for something. Okay, well, that happens to a lot of people, it's who's willing to take that risk. Maybe it's not something, in your comfort zone, or maybe you've been with your company for a long time, but it's like a really great reward, but you're kind of scared to get out there. Or maybe it's that, like when the housing market changed, we needed, and we had been visualizing a house with more space. We wanted our own gym instead of being in the garage. And so like we had been visualizing this and we thought in the next 5 years, we're going to change houses. No, in that year, we were able to sell our house for more than we paid for it. And we were able to get into another house at the beginning of a community phase, which also grew equity. And it was the exact, size home that we needed. But it's one of those things where we were very comfortable where we were. It meant that we had to get out of our comfort zone because we had to find an apartment for temporary housing with 3 kids and 2 dogs, which is hard to find.
Right, I imagine.
Especially during this crazy housing market that was going on. Like we moved into our apartment the day before we closed on our house. It was so tight. Like it was such a big risk. But because we were willing to take that risk, we ended up getting the reward, which was what we had been visualizing. And those types of opportunities, they're there, but not everyone is willing to step outside of their comfort zone because it's scary. It's very scary to do so. But I think that's one of the biggest things. And those are sometimes looked at as you're lucky because you were able to get that, but you don't understand like how scared I was some days and like the risk that we put in order to be able to do that. And so those are some of the things where I think luck is more risk and adaptability.
100%. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Well, Nipsey Hussle, he says it's when opportunity meets preparation. So
Yeah.
I remember we were on the interstate. This is what sparked the whole thing. We were on the interstate and seen a sign where they were building maybe 10 minutes from where we were, and we was like, let's go to this location. Let's see what that area looks like. And then we go over there, and they haven't even cleared off the land yet or whatever. And then we start thinking, and she's asking me, would you be comfortable with doing something like that? And I'm sitting thinking, sure, why not? Any other time we would second guess ourselves. We were like, well, no, we've only been living in this home 2 years and stuff like that. We would talk ourselves out of it. But with this one, we were like, well, why not? Let's go. Let's get the ball rolling.
Oh, that's amazing.
We were riding around for maybe, since we had just built the home we were currently in. We had been there for 2 years. And before finding that area, we had been driving around cities around that area. So we sort of knew certain locations and certain communities and things like that. We started driving around, and then we seen a sign for this neighborhood. We're like, Lennar, like, there's Lennar homes? Okay, we'll just follow the arrow. We'll just follow where it goes. And then we came into the current area where we're at, and we were like, oh, this is new. I didn't know this existed over here. Oh, this is a nice location. There's only like maybe 10 homes in here. And we're like, well, let's stop. So we go to the sales office or whatever. And I think
they were closed for the night. And so we I called and left a voicemail, and he called me back like 10 minutes later, and he's like, hey, I'm actually still in the office. If you want to swing back by, we can go ahead and
Mm,
talk tonight. And it was like it happened so quick that if we weren't ready and prepared and had talked about that, we would have missed out on that opportunity.
amazing. Yeah. So it's exactly what you're saying. That's when opportunity meets preparation, right?
Yeah,
And so a lot of people could say, well, you're lucky that you were able to sell your house at a good time and buy a new house that was what you're looking for. But like, if you didn't visualize and decide what kind of house you were looking for and you needed,
hmm,
and if you didn't take those risks and those follow the signs and like take those steps, then yeah, you wouldn't have received the reward at the end.
It's
exactly.
just when things like that start falling into place, it just fuels whatever you have going on. It's like sort of surprises you, like shocks you, like, oh, this is this is working. It's like, okay, well, I'm gonna just keep going, just do this, keep doing what I've been doing. And then, like you said, you do the research and you start learning that everything that it takes behind it, to the affirmations, the manifestation, the visualization, and then you're like, this is just powerful. It's like, why doesn't why don't other people know about this? And then you start speaking out, sharing things like that, and then certain people may look at you strange, like, yeah, you're just a weirdo. You have no clue what you're talking about. And then they start noticing, like, okay, well, everything starts falling into place for them. Maybe they're on to something. So
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Well, I think it's a wonderful thing what you're doing with this app and getting those positive affirmations out to people, because I know just from our personal experience, they have really helped us and our family, and I know that they are helping other people as well. So tell our listeners where they can find you and how they can download your app.
Yeah, you can go to the app is called Self-Pause. You can find it on the App Store or on the Google Play Store, or on our website, selfpause.com. You have some links to download it. I would love to hear from you if anyone ever gets the app and has feedback or ideas or new features. We're always working on it. So you can find me, Jaeden Schafer, on LinkedIn is probably the best place. So yeah, I'd be happy to hear from anyone.
Wonderful. And one question we have to ask you is, where do you get your strength from?
I think for me, a big place of where I get my strength from is from community and my family. I feel like I have a very supportive family growing up, a very supportive wife now, and I feel like that gives me a lot of strength. And then I also feel like community, and of course God, I feel like is a huge influences in my life for giving me inspiration and strength to continue and do what I feel like I'm called to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story and about Self-Pause. And we hope all of our listeners go out there and download Self-Pause and get started on those positive affirmations.
definitely.
Thank you for listening to the Strong AF podcast. We hope you really enjoyed this episode.
Just do us a favor, go on the Apple Podcast, leave us a 5-star review, let us know how you enjoyed the episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just drop us a couple comments. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah, we always love hearing your feedback, and let us know what you'd like to hear more of as well.